Ahar, matey! Aye.
Hoist the sail!
Huzzah!
Ahoy there, ye bold seekers of the strange and unexplained. Welcome aboard the Bloody Gull, the finest vessel to ever sail the shadowed waters of the unknown. I'm Captain Jebediah Blackwater, pirate, wanderer, and your guide through the murky depths where legend and truth collide.
Hoist the Jolly Roger! Batten down the hatches!
Each week, we set our course for the uncharted seas of mystery, where ghost ships drift, ancient curses linger, and secrets older than the ocean itself await discovery. From tales of the deep to whispers of forgotten worlds, there's no riddle too dark or storm too fierce for this crew.
Hooray! Shiver me timbers! Full ahead!
So tighten your lines, ready your hearts, and keep your wits sharp, 'cause the sea's got its secrets, and she won't give 'em up without a fight. Now, let's weigh anchor and dive into the unknown.
The Bloody Gull swells gently at anchor in Mistral Bay, a bay as mysterious as the fog that creeps in at twilight. The crew are gathered in the galley listening to their captain as he takes a deep breath, preparing to share a tale that will leave them wondering about the sea's deepest secrets. Captain Jeb, with a glint in his eye, begins his story, weaving a memory from long ago.
Well, lads, you've heard the stories. Mermaids, those sirens of the sea, who lead sailors astray with their songs. But I'll tell ye, they're not the wicked creatures the old legends make them out to be. No, they've got a whole other side to 'em, if you're willing to listen. Let me take ye back to a summer long ago, when the wind was warm and the stars above us felt a little closer. We were anchored off Mistral Bay, right near the edge of the shifting tides, a stretch of water that's said to be more trouble than it's worth. But I know the waters there like the back of me hand. I had no fear of what lay beneath.
The bay is dark and quiet now, but in Captain Jeb's tale, the waters are alive with an energy that promises adventure. The air is thick with the promise of the unknown as the crew listens spellbound.
Well, we dropped anchor and I went about me business, catching fish, setting traps, all the usual. But as the sun set, something strange happened. I was out on deck when I heard it, a soft, lilting tune carried by the wind. It wasn't the wind, though, and it wasn't the gulls either. But it was a song, like a melody from a dream. Now, I'm no fool. I've sailed these waters long enough to know when the sea is calling me. But this was different.
The crew can feel the hairs on the back of their necks stand up as Jeb continues. The low hum of the ocean outside seems to echo in the background, and the flames in the galley flicker just a little more brightly, as if they too are caught in the tale.
I followed the sound out to the edge of the ship, where the water gleams silver under the moon. And there in the shimmering waves, I saw them. Mermaids, with long flowing hair like kelp, eyes as deep as the sea itself, and tails that glittered in the moonlight like the finest emeralds. Now these weren't the dangerous creatures ye hear about in old sailors' tales. They weren't singing to lure me in to the deep. They were simply singing for the joy of it. I remember one of them, the leader of the group, looked up at me and smiled. I swear to ye, boys, she didn't have a care in the world. She gestured for me to come closer. Now, I've had me fair share of run-ins with creatures of the deep, but there was something about this moment that felt peaceful, almost like an invitation.
The crew exchanges uncertain glances, their minds racing to picture such an encounter. Was it a dream? Was it magic? Whatever it was, it's clear that Jeb's tale is about to take a turn they weren't expecting.
I couldn't resist, so I climbed down into one of the smaller boats we had hanging off the side and rowed out toward them. The closer I got, the more I could hear their song, not in words, but in notes that filled the air and vibrated through the water like a pulse. And they didn't speak in our tongue. But they didn't need to. One of the mermaids, her name was Lysara, though I'm not sure how I knew that, reached out, gently brushing the side of my boat with her tail. I've never felt anything like it. It was like the whole sea was reaching out to me through her. She smiled and I saw something in her eyes, a sort of understanding. She knew I wasn't there to harm her or her kin. She knew that I, too, had a love for the sea.
The warmth of the fire contrasts with the chill of the water in the story, as Jeb's voice becomes more wistful. His words are the very rhythm of the sea itself, ebbing and flowing with each moment he relives.
Lysara and I spent hours together, speaking without words, just sharing the same love for the ocean. She showed me places I'd only heard of in whispers, sunken ships, hidden caves, and ancient coral reefs that glowed with an otherworldly light. But what struck me most was the peace they carried. They weren't the dangerous temptresses the stories made them out to be. No, these were creatures of the sea, as old as the tides themselves, guardians of its secrets. As the first light of dawn broke across the horizon, Lysara gave me one last smile before slipping beneath the waves. "We'll always be here," she said without words, but the meaning was clear. I was part of the sea now, just as they were.
And as the tale winds down, the crew of the Bloody Gull realizes that the sea is much more than a vast expanse of water. It's a living thing, filled with mysteries that even the bravest cannot fully understand. The mermaids, guardians of the deep, remind us that sometimes the greatest treasure of the sea are not gold or riches, but the moments of peace and wonder we find in the most unexpected places.
So next time ye hear a song on the wind, boys, don't be too quick to dismiss it. The sea has a way of calling us all, in one form or another. And who knows? Maybe, just maybe, you'll find yourselves in the company of a mermaid, or a merman who has a story of their own to tell.
As Jeb raises his mug, the crew follows suit. With the fire crackling, the waves whispering in the distance, the crew, for just a brief moment, feel as though they're not just sailors. They're part of something much older, something timeless.
Fair winds, lads, here's to more tales, both real and fanciful, of the sea. Well, ahoy there, mystery seekers, treasure hunters, and lovers of the deep blue. Welcome aboard Seas of Mystery, the show where we navigate the uncharted waters of the world's most baffling legends. I'm your ever-curious Captain Jeb, steering this fine vessel into the heart of the unknown. Tonight we're pulling up anchor and diving headlong into one of the ocean's most enduring enigmas, the Merfolk Chronicles, Sirens and Sea Sprites. Now picture this. It's a moonlit night on the open sea. The water calm as glass. The only sound is the creak of your ship and the soft lap of the waves. Suddenly a haunting melody cuts through the air, sweet as honey, but with an edge that makes your hair stand on end. You strain to see through the mist and catch a glimpse of something moving, something beautiful, something not quite human. That's the allure of the merfolk, my friends. Dangerous, mysterious, and utterly captivating. From ancient Greek myths of sirens luring sailors to their doom, to tales of mischievous sea sprites playing tricks on fishermen, humanity has long been fascinated by the idea of intelligent, otherworldly beings lurking beneath the waves. And it's not just a European thing. Other cultures around the globe, from the Caribbean to Japan, have their own stories of merfolk and water spirits. But here's the question that keeps me up at night. Are these just tall tales spun by lonely sailors? Or is there something real lurking beneath the surface? Could the legends be rooted in genuine encounters with unknown creatures? Tonight, we'll explore it all. The history, the folklore, and even the possible science behind these fascinating phenomena. Here's the course we're charting for tonight's voyage. First, we'll dive into the rich tapestry of myths and stories about sirens, mermaids, and sea sprites, exploring their origins and the cultural significance behind them. Then I'll share some of your letters. Let me tell ye, folks, you've sent in some incredible tales of your own encounters. After that, I'll be joined by a guest expert who will help us untangle fact from fiction. And together, we'll take your calls to hear your thoughts and stories. And trust me, you won't want to miss the final leg of the journey. We'll tackle the possible scientific explanations for these phenomena. Because as much as I love a good mystery, I also love digging for answers. So, grab a mug of grog or a cup of tea if you're landlocked, settle into your favorite chair, and let's embark on this thrilling journey together. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, I promise you'll leave tonight's show with something to ponder. Let's set sail into the depths of the Merfolk Chronicles. Coming up, we'll take an in-depth look at the myths, legends, and possible truths behind sirens, mermaids, and sea sprites. Don't go anywhere, folks. The journey's just beginning.
This episode of Seas of Mystery is brought to you by Mystic Tides Tea Company, the tea that takes your taste buds on an adventure. Are you ready to embark on a journey of flavor? Try our signature blend, Siren Song, a soothing mix of hibiscus, chamomile, and a hint of sea salt that'll transport you to the ocean's edge with every sip. Looking for something with a little more bite? Try Deep Blue Brew, a bold black tea infused with exotic spices that'll wake you up faster than a cold spray of seawater. Perfect for late-night adventures or tuning in to Captain Jeb's latest mystery. And here's the best part, mystery seekers. As a Seas of Mystery listener, you get 20% off your first order. Just visit mystictidestea.com and use the promo code JEB20 at checkout. Mystic Tides Tea Company, brew a cup and let the adventure begin.
All right, tea drinkers and treasure hunters, let's get back to the mysteries of the deep. Next up, we'll dive headfirst into the fascinating lore of sirens, mermaids, and sea sprites. Stay tuned.
Well, laugh your own be hearties bold. I'll spin you a tale of the deep. How the mermaids fare with ice so rare, and a song that'll steal your sleep. Captain Jeb and the Bloody Gull boys were feared both near and far, till they met their match in the minstrel catch under the silvery star. Yeah. Beware the tide, beware the song, where the mermaids weep and wail. For the Bloody Gull boys with a hearty noise were lost in the ocean's tail. Sailed in the wind through the shadowed mist to the waters of Mistral Bay, where the legend spoke of a treasure woke at the break of the dawning day. But no gold we found, just a siren sound, a melody haunting and sweet. And the Bloody Gull crew to the doom they flew on the waves full by sirens deceit. Yes, beware the tide, beware the song, where the mermaids weep and wail. For the Bloody Gull boys with their hearty noise were lost in the ocean's tail. Yeah, the mermaids rose with the seaweed hair, and the smiles both cruel and kind. Come closer, ye knaves, to the watery graves that in our embrace you'll find. Captain Jeb stood firm with his cutlass bare and a fire in his weathered eye, but no blade could fight their spell that night when the sea turned a ghostly sky. Oh, the ship was torn by the ocean's wrath as the gulls screamed loud on high, and the mermaids laughed as the mast did snap while the stars fell from the sky. They whispered low in the captain's ear, your soul is ours to keep, and the bloody gull sank neath the briny bank where the drowned forever sleep. Yeah, beware the tide, beware the song, or the mermaids weep and wail, for the bloody old boys with a hearty noise were lost in the ocean's tail. Now the wind still howls through Mistral Bay, and the waves crash high and cold, but the sailors tell of the watery hell and the mermaid's curse of old. So steer ye clear of the Siren's call, or be damned like the gull's brave crew, for the mermaids wait by the shadowed strait, and they're coming, me lads, for you. Beware the tide, beware the song, or the mermaids weep and wail, for the bloody gull boys with a hearty noise were lost in the ocean's tail.
All right, folks, let's weigh anchor and chart a course into the heart of tonight's topic. The fascinating and sometimes eerie world of sirens, mermaids, and sea sprites. These aren't just stories to pass the time on long voyages. These are legends woven into the fabric of maritime history, whispers that have echoed across the waves for centuries. But how much of it is just sailors' tales, and how much of it could be something else? Let's start with the Sirens. Now, a lot of people think of sirens as those beautiful, half-fish, half-women creatures, singing their sweet songs and luring sailors to their doom. But here's the kicker. That's not how they started. Back in ancient Greece, sirens were described as part bird, part woman. Imagine a creature with the body of a bird, the face of a woman, and a voice that could make ye forget your own name. These weren't creatures of the sea. They were tied to the air and rocky coastlines, luring sailors to crash on jagged shores with their hypnotic song. Homer himself wrote about them in the Odyssey. Remember that scene where Odysseus orders his crew to plug their ears with wax while he's tied to the mast so he can hear their song without succumbing to it? That's sirens for ye, deadly and irresistible. But here's where it gets interesting. The bird-like image of sirens began to shift during the medieval period. Around that time, sailors started reporting encounters with beautiful fish-tailed women in the water. Over the centuries, the two ideas merged. What was once a bird became a fish. Kind of a strange evolutionary leap, huh? Now let's talk about mermaids. These half-human, half-fish beings are found in legends from every corner of the world. The Irish tell stories of Selkie's seal, folk who can shed their skins and walk on land, often falling in love with humans in the process. But it's a double-edged sword because if someone steals their seal skin, they're trapped in human form. Tragic, isn't it? Over in Japan, we've got the Ninyo. Now, this one's a bit different. It's often described as a grotesque, fish-like creature rather than a beautiful woman. But there's a twist. If you eat the flesh of a Ninyo, legend says you'll gain eternal youth or even immortality. Of course, the catch is that you'll also be cursed. So maybe stick with sushi. Let's not forget the Caribbean's Mamiwata. Now there's a fascinating figure, a water spirit known for her beauty and her power. She's a symbol of wealth, fertility, and healing, but also danger. Cross her, and you're in big trouble. The duality in these legends, the allure and the threat, is part of what makes them so compelling. Mermaids can grant wishes, or they can pull ye under the waves to a watery grave. You just never know what you're gonna get. Kind of like a box of chocolates. And then there are the sea sprites. Mischievous little tricksters, these ones. They're often associated with strange glowing lights on the water. Some folk think it's just phosphorescent plankton, but others, they swear it's something else entirely. Sea sprites are said to tangle fishing lines, lead ships astray, and even play pranks on unwary sailors. They're like the ocean's own version of gremlins. But here's a question for ye. If they're just a bit of harmless folklore, why do these stories persist in nearly every maritime culture? So what do ye think? Are these creatures purely the product of lonely sailors' imaginations? Stories told to pass the time and explain the unexplainable? Or is there something more to it? Something hidden beneath the surface of the waves? Stick around, because we're just getting started. Coming up, I'll be reading some of your letters, and let me tell you, a few of them might just convince you that these creatures are more than myth.
This segment of Seas of Mystery is proudly brought to you by Captain's Catch Seafood Market. Looking to bring the ocean's finest flavors to your table? At Captain's Catch, we offer the freshest, most sustainable seafood around. Whether you're craving succulent lobster, tender shrimp, or wild-caught salmon, we've got you covered. Planning a party? Try our Captain's Feast platter. It's packed with everything from oysters to crab claws and guaranteed to make a splash at any gathering. And here's the catch of the day for all you mystery seekers. Use the promo code SEAS20 at checkout and get 20% off your next order. Just visit CaptainsCatchMarket.com and reel in the savings. Captain's Catch Seafood Market, bringing the taste of the ocean straight to your door.
All right, mates, it's time to dive into your letters. Some of these stories might just send a shiver down your spine. Don't go anywhere. We're just getting started. All right, mystery seekers, it's time for one of me favorite parts of the show, your letters. Ye folks never disappoint, and tonight's batch is no exception. From eerie encounters to downright chilling experiences, these tales have it all. So let's dive right in. The first one comes from Darlene in Maine. Let's see what she has to say. Dear Captain Jib, I've lived by the sea my whole life, and I've seen some strange things out there, but nothing like what I saw last summer. My husband and I were out on our small fishing boat off the coast of Maine when we noticed a strange glow beneath the water. At first we thought it might be a school of jellyfish, or maybe some kind of bioluminescent plankton, but this was different. The glow was moving almost like it was alive, and it was following our boat. My husband joked that it was a glowfish, but I wasn't laughing. The light was steady, almost like a figure swimming beneath the surface. It followed us for a good 20 minutes, weaving back and forth before suddenly disappearing. The strangest part? When we got back to shore, the bottom of our boat was covered in a fine silvery residue. We tried to scrub it off, but it wouldn't budge. To this day, I can't explain what we saw. Any thoughts? Yours truly, Darlene from Maine. Well, Darlene, that's a heck of a story. The glowing figure could very well have been some kind of bioluminescent creature. We know the ocean's full of them. But the way you describe it following the boat, almost as if it had intent, that's a whole different kettle of fish. And that silvery residue, that's a new one on me. Maybe it's time to get a marine biologist on board to take a closer look. Whatever it was, it sounds like it left its mark, literally and figuratively. All right, on to the next one. This one comes from Marco, a sailor with a story about a haunting melody. Now this is classic Siren territory. Let's hear it. Dear Captain Jib, I've been a sailor for over 30 years. 30 years, Marco. Good on you, mate. And I've seen my fair share of strange things at sea, but this experience still sends shivers down my spine. It was a calm night in the Pacific. No wind, no waves. Just a vast, glassy ocean under a full moon. I was on the night watch, standing on the deck when I heard it. A melody, soft and haunting, dancing over the water. It wasn't coming from the ship. It sounded like it was coming from everywhere and nowhere all at once. It was beautiful but unsettling, like a lullaby meant to lure you to sleep forever. I called out to the rest of the crew, but no one else heard it. It lasted for what felt like an eternity, and then, just as suddenly as it started, it stopped. I've heard stories of sirens, but I never believed them until that night. Whatever it was, it felt otherworldly. Sincerely, Marco. Now that, my friends, is classic siren lore, if I've ever heard it. Marco, I've got to say, your story has all the hallmarks of a traditional siren encounter. Beautiful, haunting music, no clear source, and a sense of being drawn in. But here's the question. How does a sound carry like that over miles of open water? Could it be some kind of natural acoustic phenomenon, like sound waves bouncing off the surface of the sea? Or could it be something else? I'll let ye be the judge. All right, let's keep the ship moving. This next one comes from a diver named Amelia with an encounter near a coral reef. Let's see what she has to say. Dear Captain Jib, I am an experienced scuba diver, and I've logged hundreds of hours underwater. But what I saw during a dive in the Maldives left me questioning everything I thought I knew. I was exploring a coral reef about 40 feet down when I saw something, or someone, watching me. At first I thought it was another diver, but as I got closer I realized it wasn't human. It had the shape of a woman, but its skin shimmered like fish scales, and its hair floated around its face like seaweed. Its eyes were large and unblinking, almost like they were glowing. We locked eyes for what felt like minutes, and then, in one swift movement, it darted away, faster than anything I've ever seen underwater. When I surfaced and told my dive partner, he just laughed and said I must have seen a big fish, but I know what I saw. Best regards, Amelia. Amelia, I believe you. There's just too much detail in your story to write it off as imagination. Now, skeptics might say ye saw a manatee or a large fish, but those glowing eyes and that speed ye describe, that's no manatee. Could it have been a mermaid? Or perhaps something even stranger? The ocean's full of secrets, and I think ye caught a glimpse of one. All right, last letter for now. This one's from a family who had a nighttime encounter with what they believe were sea sprites. Let's dive in. Dear Captain Jeb, last summer my family and I were vacationing on the Oregon coast. The Oregon coast, I'm somewhat familiar. One night we went for a walk along the beach under a clear, starry sky. As we were walking, we noticed tiny, glowing lights dancing just above the waves. At first, we thought it was just the moonlight reflecting on the water, but these lights were moving, darting back and forth, almost like they were playing. My daughter swears she heard laughter, like tiny voices carried on the wind. The rest of us didn't hear it, but we all saw the lights. They stayed with us for about 10 minutes, then vanished as suddenly as they appeared. We've never been able to explain it. Thanks for reading, The Thompsons. Now this one really gets me. Multiple witnesses all seeing the same thing. And the detail about the laughter? That's fascinating. Could this be a case of bioluminescent organisms caught in the breeze? Or is it something more playful, like the spirits of the sea? Either way, it's a story I won't soon forget. Well, folks, those were some incredible stories. If that doesn't make you think twice about what's out there, I don't know what will. Stick around, we've got an expert guest coming up, and later we'll be taking your calls. But first, another quick word from our sponsor.
Are you ready to hoist the sails on your next adventure? Come to Captain Morgan's Marina, where every voyage begins. From fishing boats to luxury yachts, we've got the gear to set you free on the seas. Captain Morgan's, your gateway to the blue.
Have you ever wondered what's lurking in the depths of your DNA? Find out with Maritime Mysteries Ancestry Kits. Discover your oceanic roots and uncover the sailor or pirate in your bloodline. Order now and get 20% off with the code MYSTERY. All right, folks, as promised, it's time to bring on our guest expert for tonight. Joining us is someone who's dedicated her career to unraveling the mysteries of maritime folklore. Amelia Harper, professor of cultural anthropology and author of Legends Beneath the Waves. Welcome aboard, Doctor.
Thank you, Captain Jeb. I'm thrilled to be here and to dive into tonight's topic with you and your listeners. Maritime folklore has always been one of my favorite subjects.
Well, you're in good company, Doctor. Let's start with a big question. Why do so many cultures across the world share similar myths about merfolk, sirens, and other sea creatures? It's like every sailor and fisherman has a story to tell.
That's a great question, Jeb. The similarities in these myths come down to shared human experiences. For centuries, the ocean has been a place of mystery, danger, and wonder. Early sailors faced the unknown every time they set out to sea, and their imaginations filled in the gaps. Stories of merfolk often reflected fears of the unpredictable sea, as well as its allure. Increasingly, many of these myths likely started with real-world encounters. Misidentified marine life like manatees, seals, or even large fish. Over time, these sightings were woven into cultural stories that gained symbolic meaning. For example, in many cultures, mermaids represent the duality of nature, beauty and danger, life and death.
Fascinating. So, what you're saying is that these creatures could be a mix of reality, imagination, and symbolism. But do you think there's any chance that some of these stories are based on encounters with, well, something we just haven't identified yet?
Oh, it's possible. The ocean is vast and largely unexplored. Scientists estimate we've only explored about 20% of the ocean's depths. That leaves a lot of room for the unknown. While many mermaid sightings can be explained by natural phenomena, it's not out of the realm of possibility that there's something out there we haven't discovered yet. Whether it's an undiscovered species or something more mysterious, the ocean is a place where the line between myth and reality often blurs.
Well, Doctor, you've got me hooked. Here's another one for you. Could modern technology like sonar or underwater drones help us detect these creatures? Or are they too elusive for even our best gadgets?
Great question. Sonar and drones have revolutionized underwater exploration, allowing us to map the ocean floor and discover new species. But many sea creatures are incredibly adept at avoiding detection. If merfolk or similar beings do exist, they'd likely be highly intelligent and skilled at evading our technology, especially if they've been interacting with humans for centuries. That said, sonar has picked up unexplained sounds and movements in the ocean, like the famous bloop sound in the Pacific. While most of these have natural explanations, some remain mysteries. So who knows? Perhaps technology will give us answers in the future.
Fascinating stuff, Doctor. I could talk to ye about this all night, but I think it's time we bring in some of our listeners. Are ye ready to take some calls?
Absolutely. Let's hear what they've experienced.
Hi there, Captain Jeb and Dr. Harper. This is Hank from Charleston. I'm a retired diver and I've got a story for you. Back in the 80s, I was diving off the Florida Keys when I saw something I still can't explain. I was about 50 feet down near a shipwreck when I saw a figure swimming nearby. It looked human but had a long fish-like tail. It moved so fast I could barely track it. I tried to follow, but it was gone in seconds. What do you make of that?
Hank, that's an incredible story. Let me ask ye this. Did ye notice anything unusual about the water temperature or current when ye saw it? Sometimes strange occurrences happen in areas with underwater vents or odd currents.
Funny you should ask. The water did feel warmer in that spot, like there's a pocket of heat or something. I didn't think much of it at the time.
That's interesting, Hank. Warmer water could indicate an underwater thermal vent, which can attract marine life. But the speed and shape you described don't match any known species. It's possible you encountered something truly unique. The ocean has a way of surprising us. Hi, this is Bella from Seattle. I've got a question. Do you think mermaids could be aliens? I mean, they could survive underwater and maybe that's why we can't find them. They're not from here.
Bella, I love the way ye think. Doctor, what do ye make of this theory? Could mermaids be our extraterrestrial neighbors?
Bella, that's a fascinating idea. While there's no evidence to support it, the theory that extraterrestrials could exist in our oceans isn't as far-fetched as it sounds. Some scientists have speculated that if aliens visited Earth, the oceans would be the perfect place to hide. Vast, unexplored, and out of sight. If mermaids were extraterrestrial in origin, it would explain their intelligence and elusiveness. It's definitely a fun idea to think about.
Aliens in the deep. That's a movie waiting to happen, Bella. Thanks for the call.
Hey, Captain Jeb and Dr. Harper. This is Sarah from Nantucket. My grandmother used to tell me stories about sea sprites. She swore she saw glowing lights dancing on the water one night when she was a girl. Do you think there's any truth to these old stories?
Sarah, I think there's always some truth in these old tales. Doctor, what do ye think?
Sarah, glowing lights on the water are a common thread in sea sprite stories, and they're often linked to natural phenomena like bioluminescent plankton. However, the way these lights are described in folklore, playful, mischievous, and sometimes even interacting with people, suggests there's more to the story. Perhaps they're a mix of natural wonder and human imagination.
Well, Sarah, it sounds like your grandmother had quite the story to pass down. Thanks for sharing it with us. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for calls tonight. A big thank you to Dr. Harper for joining us, and to all our callers for sharing your incredible stories and theories. Stick around, we'll wrap things up after this short break.
breathe the stars above the endless seas. No stone or shore could hold my soul, for the ocean's where I've made me home. Hey! The gulls may cry, the waves may moan, but out on the deep I'm never alone. The salt in my veins, the wind in my hair, a life on the water beyond compare. Hey! Oh, the sea, she calls to me with her rolling tides and her mystery. No hearth, no land could ever be as true a home as the open sea. The moonlight dances on silver waves, marking the path for the bold and brave. We chase the horizon, we follow the stars, our compass, our dreams, no matter how far. Hey! A pirate's life is rough, they say, but I'd not trade a single day. The laughter of mates, the song of the tide, forever I'll sail with my heart as my guide. Hey! Oh, the sea, she calls to me with the rolling tides and her mystery. No hearth, no land could ever be as true a home as the open sea. The ocean's a lover, wild and free. She whispers her secrets softly to me. Her tempests may rage, her waters may churn, but to her embrace I always return. When my sails grow tattered, my journey near done, and I rest beneath the setting sun, bury me not on the cold dry ground, but cast me adrift where I'll always be found. Oh, the sea, she calls to me with her rolling tides and her mystery. No hearth, no land could ever be as true a home as the open sea. Hey! So raise your glass and sing with me a toast to the beauty of the sea. For as long as I breathe, I'll always roam, forever at home where the waves do comb.
All right, me fine crew of curious minds. Let's reel this discussion back in and take a more scientific look at some of the stories we've heard tonight. Now I know we all love the mystery, the what-ifs, but even the strangest tales often have an anchor in reality. So let's explore the possibilities. First up, merfolk. When you think of mermaids, what comes to mind? A beautiful creature with flowing hair, perched on a rock, singing to sailors? It's a captivating image, but science offers a simpler explanation. Many historical sightings of mermaids can likely be attributed to animals like manatees or dugongs. These creatures, while not exactly enchanting, do have rounded, human-like forms when viewed from a distance. And let's not forget that sailors spent months, sometimes years at sea, often underfed, dehydrated, and, well, a little rum-soaked. Their imaginations were bound to run wild. But what about the Siren's song? That haunting melody said to lure sailors to their doom. Could it really have been the sweet voices of mythical beings? Well, some scientists believe that underwater sounds like those made by whales or dolphins might be to blame. Think about it. Whale songs can travel for miles underwater, and their eerie, almost otherworldly tones could easily be mistaken for something supernatural. Add to that the acoustics of the open sea, which can distort and amplify sounds, and you've got yourself a siren song. Of course, Science doesn't have all the answers. After all, sound waves traveling over water have been known to do strange things. Have ye ever heard of acoustic mirages? That's when sound waves bend in unusual ways, making it seem like a noise is coming from somewhere it's not. It's like the ocean itself is playing tricks on us. Now let's move on to those mischievous sea sprites. Stories of glowing lights dancing on the water have been told for centuries, but science offers a few potential explanations. One of the most common culprits? Bioluminescent algae. These tiny organisms can light up the ocean with a ghostly glow, especially when disturbed by movement. If you've ever walked along a beach at night and seen the waves sparkle like stars, you've seen bioluminescence in action. It's stunning, and I can see how someone might think they were witnessing something otherworldly. But here's where things get even stranger. Some sightings of glowing sea sprites may actually be linked to electrical phenomena, like St. Elmo's fire. This is a weather phenomenon where plasma creates a glowing effect, often seen on ships' masts during storms. Sailors who witnessed it called it a sign from the heavens, or depending on their mood, a bad omen. So, what are we left with? A mix of science, nature, and perhaps a sprinkle of something we can't quite explain. You see, I'm not here to sink anyone's belief in merfolk, or sirens, or sea sprites. If anything, I think science and mystery go hand in hand. The more we learn about the natural world, the more we realize how little we truly understand. Take the giant squid, for example. For centuries, sailors told stories of the Kraken, a massive tentacled beast that could pull entire ships under the waves. People dismissed it as a myth until scientists finally confirmed the existence of giant squids in the 19th century. Who's to say there aren't more wonders waiting to be discovered in the deep? So I say, keep an open mind. Whether these tales are rooted in misidentified marine life, natural phenomena, or something beyond our comprehension, they all remind us of one thing. The ocean is vast, mysterious, and still holds its secrets close. And isn't that a beautiful thing? As we carry on into tonight's journey, here's a little something to set the mood. Sit back, relax, and let the waves of this song carry ye out to sea. You're listening to Seas of Mystery, where the mysteries of the deep are just a tune away.
Out on the waves where the moonlight's aglow, the wind whispers secrets the deep currents know. A shimmer, a flicker, a light on the tide. The sea sprites are dancing with nowhere to hide. Oh, they whirl and they twirl in the ocean's embrace. Their glow paints the waters with an unearthly grace. Are they spirits or sailors from stars far away? The sea sprites are dancing in Mistral Bay. Their laughter's a hum that the breeze barely carries. Their footsteps leave ripples where silence oft marries. They beckon the lost with their radiant flare, but follow too close and they vanish to air. Oh, they whirl and they twirl in the ocean's embrace. Their glow paints the waters with an unearthly grace. Are they spirits or sailors from stars far away? The sea sprites are dancing in Mistral Bay. Are they watchers of oceans or harbingers of fate? Do they guard hidden treasures or warn us too late? Their eyes flash like lightning, their movements are free. They're the keepers of mysteries under the sea. Oh, they whirl and they twirl in the ocean's embrace. Their glow paints the waters with an unearthly grace. Are they spirits or sailors from stars far away? The sea sprites are dancing in Mistral Bay. So heed now the stories of sailors who've seen the glow of the sprites in their shimmering sheen. If you spot them, be wary, don't follow their call, for the sea holds its secrets and it claims them all. Oh, they whirl and they twirl in the ocean's embrace. Their glow paints the waters with an unearthly grace. Are they spirits or sailors from stars far away? The sea sprites are dancing in Mistral Bay. Oh, the sea sprites are dancing so wild and so free. In the heart of the ocean, they're lost to the sea. Under starlight and shadow, forever they'll play. The sea sprites keep dancing in Mistral Bay.
The ship's timbers groan gently with the rocking of the sea. The evening is calm, a stillness hanging in the air that seems to lean in, eager for the next words to come. The crew listens intently, the firelight casting strange shadows on their faces, as if the ship itself were listening for something more than just the crackle of the logs. And then Captain Jeb speaks again, his voice a low rumble in the stillness, a familiar lilt in his tone, drawing the crew deeper into the mystery.
Lads, I've told ye I've seen strange things in the water. But that night with those sea sprites, those glowing creatures pulsing in the deep, it changed me. Changed the way I look at the sea, and perhaps the world itself.
Captain pauses, his eyes narrowing as he reflects on the tale.
Ye see, as we sailed away from Tide's Reach that night, I couldn't shake the feeling that those little sprites weren't just some oddity of the sea. No, there was something more to them. Their movements, they weren't random. They weren't just playing in the waves. There was a purpose behind them, and the purpose was something I couldn't quite grasp.
The fire flickers in the background, and a slight chill runs through the galley as Jeb's tone shifts, growing more serious.
We sailed on, my crew growing uneasy under the weight of what we'd seen. But then, just as we passed the edge of the southern sea, the strange light came again. Only this time it wasn't in the distance. It was right beneath us. I felt it before I saw it. A sudden drop in temperature, a deep vibration in the ship's hull, like the water beneath us had become alive.
The crew leans forward, hanging on Jeb's every word. The captain smiles darkly, savoring the tension.
We were sailing at night, the sky clouded over, no stars to guide us. Just the echo of the wind and the creaking of the ship. Then as I looked down into the water, I saw it. The glow. This time it was different. It wasn't just a single light, but a swarm of them, weaving through the depths like fireflies, lighting up the whole sea beneath us. It was as if the water itself had become alive, pulsing in time with the rhythm of the creatures. I ordered the crew to stay silent, to watch, to not make a single sound. I didn't want to risk disturbing whatever was going on below. We watched as the sprites moved beneath us, each one leaving a streak of light behind them, like a trail of stardust. But they weren't like fish, or any creature of the deep we know. No, these sprites were intelligent. They moved with purpose, as if they were aware of us, as if they knew we were watching, testing us, perhaps.
A hushed murmur rises from the crew. They all know Captain Jeb well enough to understand when he's holding something back. But even so, the tension is thick in the room now. Jeb's voice drops lower as if recalling the true essence of the encounter.
We lowered a lantern over the side, and one of the sprites, the brightest of them all, came up to the surface. It was as if it wanted to be seen, like it was choosing to make contact. I swear to ye, lads, it wasn't like any fish or creature I've ever seen. Its body seemed to flicker, its form shifting between solid and ethereal. The light around it grew brighter, more intense, and in that light I could see eyes. But they weren't like our eyes. They were deep, almost infinite, as though they contained the whole of the sea within them.
The crew remains still, caught in the captain's web of words. In the flickering firelight, their faces reflect a mix of awe and uncertainty, as if the sea itself has whispered secrets into their ears. Captain Jeb's tale grows deeper and darker as he continues, his voice like a soft thunder in the quiet room.
I reached over the rail, hand trembling, almost feeling the power of the sprite beneath me. But before I could touch it, it vanished, gone, as if it had never been there. The sea calmed again, the glow fading into the depths. But there was something in that moment, something I can't put into words, something alien. These sea sprites weren't just creatures of the sea. No, they were beings of the water, of the very element itself, as if they were from someplace beyond our world. Perhaps they weren't just from the sea, but of it, born from some mysterious hidden part of the ocean, or perhaps even from somewhere far beyond this earth.
He leans back, looking at his crew with a knowing glint in his eye, as if the weight of the encounter still lingers.
Lads, they moved like nothing I've ever seen. Not like fish, not like mermaids, but like something from another world. And that's what haunts me. I've sailed the seas and I know the waters. I've met creatures of the deep, creatures that roam the land and the sea. But these sea sprites, they felt like they were from somewhere else. Like underwater aliens. Only we don't have the words for what they are. We don't have the words for what they could be. There are places in this world, places that even the bravest of men dare not venture. And sometimes the sea shows us things we were never meant to see. Things that blur the line between what's real and what's beyond our understanding.
The room is quiet, the crew deep in thought. They've heard stories from Jeb before, but there's something different in this one. Something unspoken lingers in the air, thick with mystery and wonder. Finally, one of the sailors speaks up, breaking the silence.
Captain, do you think they'll come back? Those sprites?
Jeb looks up at the crew, his eyes soft with experience, a knowing smile curling the corner of his lips.
They'll come back when they're ready, lad. When the sea decides it's time. But don't go looking for them. Some things, some creatures, are meant to be left alone. The sea isn't a place for chasing ghosts or looking for answers to questions you don't know how to ask. Those sprites, they were a reminder that there's much more to the world than we can ever understand.
Captain Jeb stands up, raising his mug in a quiet toast.
To the sea, lads, mysterious, vast, and full of secrets. May she always keep a few for herself.
The crew raises their mugs in unison, their eyes reflecting the firelight, deep in thought. Outside, the waves crash against the hull, their song now a bit more mysterious, a little more alien than it was before. And so the night goes on, the crew of the Bloody Gull holding their secrets and their questions close. The sea stretches endlessly before them, an ocean of mysteries waiting to be uncovered. But some mysteries, like the sea sprites, may forever remain just beyond their reach, alien, otherworldly, and as eternal as the waters themselves.
Let's go! On the windswept waves where the shadows creep, where the tales run dark and the secrets sleep, there's a captain bold with a glassy stare, spinning yarns of ghosts in the salty air. With a yo-ho-ho and a pint of rum, beware the seas where the phantoms come. From the depths below to the stars up high, in seas of mystery, I'll give it a try. He sailed through storms and the devil's grin, faced cursed ships with the undead within. With a crew of misfits and a map half torn, he hunts the legends where the myths are born. With a yo-ho-ho and a pint of rum, beware the seas where the phantoms come. From the depths below to the stars up high, in seas of mystery, I'll give it a try. Monsters, treasures, and whispers of doom, fog-shrouded islands where the ghost lights loom. Captain Jeb's laugh cuts through the fear. Onward she scallywags, the truth be near. With a yo-ho-ho and a pint of rum, beware the seas where the phantoms come. From the depths below to the stars up high, in seas of mystery, I'll give it a try. So hoist the sails and bring your grit. With Captain Jeb, there's no quitting it. The seas are wild, the legends untold. Set course for mystery, be brave, be bold. Yo-ho-ho, let's set sail tonight, with Captain Jeb and his ghostly light.
Well, folks, we've certainly covered a lot of ground tonight. Legends, letters, science, and plenty of mysteries from the deep. But before we head back to port and call it a night, I've got a couple of final letters I'd like to share with you. These ones came in just before we went live, and I think they'll leave ye thinking about the ocean in a whole new way. The first letter comes from Ben, a fisherman out of Florida. He writes, Dear Captain Jeb, I've been a fisherman for over 30 years, and I've seen me fair share of strange things out on the water. But last summer, I had an experience that still haunts me. It was a quiet afternoon, calm waters, nothing unusual. As I was pulling in a net, something caught my eye. At first, I thought it was a piece of driftwood, but as I got closer, I could see a figure, pale, almost glowing, hovering just below the surface. It wasn't a fish, it wasn't a person, just this strange form, slowly drifting with the current. It vanished as soon as I tried to get closer, and I've never seen anything like it again. Keep up the great work, Captain Jeb. I'll be tuning in again next week. Ben. Now that be a tale that'll send shivers down your spine, isn't it? A glowing figure just beneath the water. That could be a lot of things. Bioluminescent plankton, maybe, or something a little more mysterious. But no matter what it is, there's no denying the chill that comes with seeing something that doesn't belong in the natural world. I'd say Ben's encounter fits right in with the strange and unexplainable. All right, moving on to the second letter, which comes from Sarah in Maine. Let's see what she has to say. Dear Captain Jib, I've always been fascinated by the sea and its mysteries. A few months ago, I was vacationing with my family in a coastal village, and we decided to take a midnight walk along the beach. The sky was clear and the moonlight shimmered on the water. But what I saw next was something I'll never forget. As we walked, I noticed several strange lights flickering just above the surface of the water, like fireflies but bigger and brighter. I thought it might have been a trick of the light, but then my brother pointed it out too. We stopped to watch as these glowing orbs danced in the waves, moving in sync as if they were alive. We weren't the only ones out there either. Other people had stopped to watch as well, all seeing the same thing. I've read about sea sprites and bioluminescence, but after witnessing it firsthand, I can tell you that it was something beyond any explanation I'd ever heard. Thanks for sharing these stories, Jeb. It's good to know I'm not the only one fascinated by the mysteries of the sea. Sarah. Now that's an incredible experience, Sarah. I think a lot of us have heard of bioluminescence, those glowing lights in the water, often caused by tiny organisms that light up when disturbed. But what Sarah describes sounds like something a bit more magical. I mean, multiple witnesses all describing the same phenomenon? That's not something ye see every day. I wouldn't blame Sarah and her family for thinking they'd witness something otherworldly. Could it be science, or is there a touch of something else? I'll leave that to ye to decide. Before we head out, I want to thank ye all for tuning in tonight. We've shared some fantastic stories, and I know there's many more out there. So don't be shy. If you've had your own strange encounter with the sea, be sure to send in your letter. Ye might just hear your story on the air next time. Reach out in the comments or on social media to share your tale with the crew. I'm always looking for new stories to keep our mysteries flowing.
This episode of Seas of Mystery is brought to you by Mystic Tides Tea Company, the tea that takes your taste buds on an adventure. Are you ready to embark on a journey of flavor? Try our signature blend, Siren Song, a soothing mix of hibiscus, chamomile, and a hint of sea salt that'll transport you to the ocean's edge with every sip. Looking for something with a little more bite? Try Deep Blue Brew, a bold black tea infused with exotic spices that'll wake you up faster than a cold spray of seawater. Perfect for late-night adventures or tuning in to Captain Jeb's latest mystery. And here's the best part, Mystery Seekers. As a Seas of Mystery listener, you get 20% off your first order. Just visit mystictidestea.com and use the promo code JEB20 at checkout. Mystic Tides Tea Company, brew a cup and let the adventure begin.
Well, me friends, that wraps up another deep dive into the world of merfolk and their mysterious kin. But don't think we're done just yet. Next week, we're going to venture into some uncharted waters with modern encounters with sea beasts. You think you've seen everything the ocean has to offer? Think again. We'll be talking to those who've encountered creatures that blur the line between myth and reality. And I have a feeling some of ye listening right now might just have stories of your own to share when we return. So make sure ye tune in for that. Until then, me friends, keep your eyes on the horizon. The sea has its secrets it's not quite ready to give up. And maybe, just maybe, one day you'll be the one to uncover them. So fair winds and following seas, my friends. It's been a pleasure having ye aboard for another voyage into the unknown. I'll see ye next week. Fair winds and following seas, me friends. Until next time.